Welcome, everyone. So before we start, let's just settle into, let's just get settled. I expect you've all has everyone, I'm just assuming that everyone's had a busy couple of days and week leading up. Yeah. And some of you probably still have family with you or you are with family. So this week coming up for me is going to be kind of hectic as well. So I'm starting to kind of feel a little bit pressure of guests coming, Judith returning, her daughter's coming, Kate McDonald's coming, who's a friend of mine. So I've got, and then we have a retreat next weekend. So I have quite a lot coming up as well. So hi, Susan, I can kind of get a sense of how this week has been for some of you. I mean, I don't have kids and things like that, but I can imagine it was kind of has been crazy. Kimberly, Susan, I've just been saying it might have been a little bit of a crazy week for you all. And now I feel a little bit discombobulated because tomorrow's Saturday and I feel like I already had a Sunday yesterday. So it's going to be weird. Yeah. So let's just settle into a comfortable seated position. And for those of you who are sitting at your computer, you can have your feet flat on the floor. And really try and get a sense of the soles of your feet kind of meeting the earth. The earth is supporting you. And get a renewed appreciation for the feet that kind of keep us upright. As we don't really appreciate our feet until we break a toe or we twist an ankle or something goes wrong in our foot or we get a bunion, and all of a sudden we know how important our feet are. So maybe just send a little bit of love and appreciation for your feet for a moment. You can have your knees about a hip's width apart. Really feel the weight of your sits bones in the chair. Shoulders are aligned with your hips. And imagine your spine is this string of pearls of light stretching from the base all the way up through the crown of the head and beyond. So really just feel yourself getting longer, expanding. Take a nice deep breath. Then bring your awareness to the crown of the head and relax the scalp, the forehead, just your face, the back of the head, the neck, the shoulders. Allow your shoulder blades to drop down, relax the throat, the chest, the belly, and then all of your limbs. And I might suggest, if you wish, I just would invite you to put your screens on gallery so you have this experience of doing this meditation in a group, if you haven't already done that. You don't have to, but I wanted you to get the sense of practicing together because we're not in person. So bring your awareness now to the breath and notice the sensation of the air as we inhale and exhale. Welcome, Phyllis. Be aware if there are any sounds in your environment. Just allow those sounds to be there, trying not to follow with the mind. Just let them be. They're part of your environment. And then notice the thoughts as they're arising. So we're focusing a little bit more on the thoughts today in session 3. And I thought we were going to have 5 sessions, but actually next week is the end of the month. So that's going to be it. So I'll try and do the best I can from sessions 4 and 5 next week. And I might bring in a meditation from session 5 into today, which is what we did this morning for those of you that were there. So just remember, if you want to bundle up that bunch of thoughts that is in your mind, You can just let go of all those thoughts. All the bits and pieces are in your head. And just let it all go. You can just say, I'm thinking. And just let those thoughts go. Now bring to mind all those people of our life, our loved ones, the ones we don't care for quite so much, and then our strangers, and imagine them all changing place. Possibly they can all change place. And even within your most stable relationship, I always remember Michelle Obama telling everybody I was listening to her audiobook at one point. She absolutely hated Barack Obama when she had toddlers, but they worked it out. I guess there had to be love there as well. But within your stable relationships, there can be a distancing, a coming back together, and a change of pace. And then remembering they're all equal in their wish to be happy and their wish to be free from suffering and having this extraordinary capacity for Buddhahood. So I think we'll do this session today for all these people of our life, and by extension, all sentient beings, and bring to mind our precious Hin, who, as I often say, she would be here if she could. And she sent, for those of you, some of you may have received a beautiful email out to everybody. So also my thanks, heartfelt thanks to those of you who've sent her warm wishes and gifts and encouragement. Okay, so now last week, what we talked about was introspection. So I just wanted to remind you that it's kind of a natural ability that we have in our mind. It's like, we're always constantly checking to see, we're monitoring our body, we're monitoring our mind. And it kind of, introspection can alert us to when we're not quite on track or to when we're sleeping. So we talked a little bit about that. Then we did a body scan meditation. And then we worked a little bit with distraction and dullness. So with distraction, it's, we're looking for shiny objects, anything to get us away from what might be arising in the mind. When we become aware of how our attention does not stay with the object of mindfulness, whether we've chosen the breath, whether we've chosen something physical, whether we've chosen a visualization object. So then dullness is kind of a loss of alertness and kind of that sharpness or vividness of attention. So we worked a little bit with that yesterday. So we might become drowsy or sleepy or blanking out. Or, in today's world, we talk about it not being present. So our mind is sort of lacking energy. It's not very clear and we're not really engaged. So we talked about how to work with that a little bit. We were doing that by just kind of very gently returning to the breath. And we looked at the mindfulness of breathing, where we were just releasing some of those unhelpful thoughts, things that didn't really serve us. Okay. So I was wondering if anyone has any questions, anything that came up during the week. Is there anything you want to talk about or bring to the class before we start? No? Mary, you look like you're about to say something. Yes? No?
Well, I just put a little note in chat. I don't want to interrupt. I think.
Oh, no, you're not interrupting. I'm asking why they've changed this. Oh, it's not the final session. Next week is the 30th. Next Thursday's the 30th.
but we Fridays.
Oh, it's the Thursday? We've only had 3 weeks? It's not possible. 4. This is our 4th week? Oh, I thought we'd only had... Okay. So we worked with thoughts last week, right? Yeah, no one can remember. Thanks, Mary. Let me check. I find that it's true.
Venerable Katy.
No way.
I,
Yes.
I have it on my calendar that the class is supposed to run through. No, wait, what day are we?
No,
Friday.
because I think
December 1. December 1. Oh, but I have a question mark, so that's not certain.
Yeah. Okay, let's just do the best we can tonight. All right. Okay. Change of plan. I'm going to go straight to this meditation, which I found. Oh, that's right. Mindfulness and functional thinking. Okay. But what I would like to do is this meditation on mindfulness of thoughts again. Okay, we did that last week. So let's just settle into your meditation position again. So notice the areas of softness and ease and relaxation, and wonder, can we welcome these feelings and allow ourselves to enjoy them while they're there? And also notice areas of tension and tightness with if you have any uncomfortable feelings, and just acknowledge them for the time being. So you don't have to change anything immediately. Just be curious. Oh, that's arising. That's there. So you can check in with the sensations in your face. Are you tensing up any of your facial muscles? The forehead, the jaw, the mouth, the eyes. And can you just very gently relax these muscles and let a different feeling, one of softness, ease, and comfort, come into our face? And just allow this softening and relaxing to spread on its own to the rest of our body, helping our body to settle into meditation in its own time. So with our breathing, some of you will notice subtle sensations around your nostrils, where you can feel the air flowing in and out of the body, and others might feel the rising and the falling of the chest, or the rising and the falling of the belly. So just imagine as your breath is expanding and contracting, you might feel just the rising and the falling of the chest, but actually it's a 360-degree movement. So imagine as you breathe in, also the side ribs and your back ribs, they're also moving. So some of us are kind of quite tight. And when that happens, your breathing gets a little bit restricted. So just imagine as you're inhaling, just inhale for a count of 4, and just imagine it's almost like you're inhaling the front, the sides, and the back ribs all simultaneously. Pause at the top of the breath, and then exhale for 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's try that again. Inhale. Pause and exhale. 4, 3, 2, 1. So each time we notice ourselves exhaling, use it as an opportunity to release anything that's unhelpful, anything that's unwanted. And just imagine it's the same as when you let go of that stale air in our lungs. So you can kind of think of the breath as a resting place for place where your attention is mindful. And it's a place, it's like home. You can always come back to it at any time to steady yourself. The breath is very comforting. It's with us all the time. It's our friend. So, this introspection we have, this little spy that we've got going on, it kind of alerts you. Beep, beep. There's a thought. We've kind of been attracted to some shiny object or some memory of a conversation that we had last night. We might want to mentally make a note, thinking. And without getting entangled with the contents of those thoughts, we can gently return our attention to the breath and just release those thoughts on the out breath. So you can just say to yourself as you exhale, just release any conversations from yesterday, any thoughts, any opinions, any fears, any worries. Just say to yourself as you breathe in, exhale, just release all those thoughts that no longer serve you. Much the same way you would just let go of a helium balloon. You could maybe put all of those unwanted thoughts or thoughts that aren't really serving you very well, made up thoughts, stories, opinions, self-criticism. Just can put it all in that little helium balloon and just let it go. Release. And if you like, you can just imagine you're watching that balloon float away into the sky. Of course, there's more thoughts there. So just be aware of them. Let your introspection alert you to their presence. Take a step back and be objective, curious about what is there. Examine it. Is this serving me well? Oh, maybe not. Then release. Okay, everyone, just relax. Slowly come back. Welcome, Linda. Nice to see you here. Okay, did anybody have anything they want to share from that particular meditation? Phyllis? Oh, you're muted.
So I had trouble staying with you, which is normal, right? However, after we did, the analytic meditation last week, and I objected to it. Like, well, I can't do this. I don't want to do this.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Anyways, but then I did the meditation with, I don't remember her name. Lou would know her name, at 10 o'clock on Tuesday morning. And I just flew through that and could do it. Do you know? I mean, after all my objecting, it was available to me. So I'm saying that right now. It's like right now I'm resisting, or I'm distracted, but I'll get with you. Just give me a minute.
What do you think it was that enabled you to focus on Tuesday? Was it the fact that you'd recognized distraction earlier and then had worked with it, or was it just being with a different teacher?
We did the analytic, we did the noticing the thoughts. No other group that I've worked with over the years has ever done that. It's just TNL where they examine the meditation. And so it was new to me, and I went, I don't like this. I'm not going to do it. Anyways, but I did do it enough with you last week and was able to say how I couldn't do it and I didn't like it. But then Tuesday morning, I don't know, it was just easy. And it had been so hard with you, but only because I was resisting. And I saw the value of it. I went, oh, here they are. Oh, I see. Here are the attitudes that are up when I'm thinking. So it felt like a process of working with you and then doing that meditation work on Tuesday. So I thank you.
Well, thank you for persevering. Amazing.
Yeah, well,
that's pretty good. That's quite an amazing leap.
I know.
Yeah.
Well, it was important that I make some leaps. I've been kind of in an arroyo for a while here, so I'm so much better today. I cannot tell you.
That's fantastic.
I worked today and saw 2 patients, and that always heals me to work, and wonderful young people. So I feel a whole lot better today. Yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
There's some scary spaces inside. It's sometimes hard to go there on our own.
Very, very. So valuable to have you, Katy. And I know other people here think so. You hold a space that is really important for me. I know you do.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Mary, you look like you were about to say something. Nothing from today? Shayla? Lou? Someone had their hand up. Jay, hi.
Hi. Look, what I wanted to comment, I thought it is amazing to me, and you said, people should put their camera on if they can. And I'm sorry, I don't.
No, it's okay. People don't need to put, it's fine.
But the thing I wanted to comment, I'm in another meditation group, and I commented in that one as well. It surprises me how effective Zoom contact is in terms of I do feel supported. If I know I've got a Zoom class and I can go meditate during that class, it gets me there and it helps me focus. Where if I'm on my own, not so easy. So yeah, that I wanted to just reinforce what you said about the importance of working with
putting
Yeah.
Well, I just wanted everyone to be on gallery. I don't know if you've got me on full screen or
I've got you on gallery.
Because when you're on gallery, you really get a sense of being with the group. Because when you've just got my face, all you're seeing is me and then people on the side. So if you have each other in gallery, then you really feel like a community. So that's great. Okay, thank you, everyone.
Yeah, I'm amazed that that, because we sort of shudder about young people only having a connection online. And here we are meditating online.
It's amazing. Such a gift.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're a bit hypocritical, aren't we? Okay, everybody, let's just now, we're going to move on to functional thinking. And what is that? Okay, so let's just settle back in, fasten your seatbelts. At the end of this session, we're going to, I think probably all we're going to have time for session 5 is the kindness, self-kindness meditation that we did this morning. So it's really good to consider the variety of thinking we engage in. So not all of our thoughts are dysfunctional or harmful. And in fact, we engage in a lot of very functional, creative thinking that contributes to our success as a species in adapting to different living conditions, problem-solving ability, our capacity to love, to be generous. And then while we're thinking in our mindfulness meditations, we become more proficient in this process of recognizing thinking as thinking. So we want to become a little bit more objective about what's going on in the mind, so we don't just kind of disappear down a rabbit hole. Because if we let our mind go here, there, and everywhere, we're not really going to be able to meditate. We can't focus or concentrate. So we might be able to think about thoughts of the past could be noted as remembering. So far we've just done this meditation on realizing that we are thinking and calling it thinking. So now we're just going to a little bit more detail so we can see something from the past as remembering. And you might have some thoughts about planning, and you can just call them planning. You can have some fantasy thoughts like daydreaming or story making. And this way we can become more mindful, perhaps a little bit wiser in regards to the kind of the habitual thinking that we have, our energetic patterns that we have, and how we tend to engage in our thoughts. Some people are just habitually angry or habitually paranoid, or, or they're going to do this, they're going to do that. You never even know. How do you know? So when we are using our wisdom, when we're being discerning, we can invoke perhaps more functional, appropriate thinking that strengthens the recognition of the nature of these kinds of thoughts. So even though we may be using a few simple terms like remembering or worrying or daydreaming or so on, we need to realize that the act of noting or labeling with these words or concepts is also a form of thinking, obviously. And we can regard this as functional thinking because it serves the function of helping to strengthen the discernment of thoughts as thoughts and to protect our mind from falling back into believing in, following just involuntary thoughts. Sometimes we have these really strong thoughts about the future. I mean, it's not even real, and we develop emotions around it. It's just crazy. We can really drive ourselves insane. So we get kind of caught up in this habitual thinking, and then we start to react. And our reactivities drive our choices. They drive the way we act. So functional thinking helps us to initiate a process of releasing and letting go, kind of changing the direction that our mind is working. And we withdraw, investing our attention in belief in its contents, belief in the contents of our mind, belief in the contents of our habit thoughts. They're not necessarily the reality of our life. So we're going to do another meditation on mindfulness of thoughts. So let's just settle back and do that one. We've just done the meditation on labeling thinking. So check before we start, just check your feet. Feel the earth. Connect with your feet, your toes, the soles of the feet. The big toe mound, the little toe mound, the outer heel, the sole of the foot, the top of the foot. Sit on top of your sits bones, shoulders aligned with the hips, and then just lengthen that spine. Take a nice deep breath. So just notice the thoughts that are arising. And we can replace the simple label of thinking with others that better reflect their contents. So labels are best to be both accurate and neutral in tone, so we don't provoke negative, judgmental, critical attitudes towards ourselves and our thoughts. So this is an area that we're really good at, self-criticism. We engage in it day in, day out. I shouldn't have done that. I'm not good enough. So some possible labels could be, as I mentioned earlier, remembering. So you could be remembering yesterday. You could be planning your future work, a holiday, next week. Some of us are super good at planning. And then there's daydreaming. Fantasies about what will be, the money we're going to earn. The house we might live in, the place we might go to, the people we might meet. And then there's worrying. What happens if? How am I going to? Did I embarrass myself yesterday? Should I have said? And then we get judgy about ourselves and others, critical. And then there's our old friend anger, whether we turn it in on ourselves or blame others. So by categorizing in this way, we can become more mindful and a little bit wiser with regards to this kind of habit energy we have in terms of the way we think. So these thoughts that we have, actually, they are forming neural pathways in our mind, our brain, physically. It's physical. So as I was finishing up as a psychologist in Perth, it was like 20 years ago, they were starting to look at this particular kind of research, this plasticity that we have in the mind. So if you don't continually run the mind down these neural pathways, if you don't continually walk down this particular path, it atrophies. So if you give up fantasizing about this or that, the habit that we have to kind of leap off into that direction, it's just not really even an option for us. So what we want to do is create new, more positive neural pathways functional, helpful, a mind that serves us. And so we're continually thinking angry thoughts. It's going to make us sick. The only person it harms is ourselves. So let's just meditate for 5 minutes and let's just watch the mind and see where it's going, and then categorize your thoughts. You don't have to use those particular categories that I've just mentioned. Maybe you have your own. And remember, the mind is moving very, very quickly, so you'll only be able to capture a small percentage of what's going on in there. Some of you also may be thinking in pictures. Some of you may be thinking in pictures and words. Some of you may be thinking with an auditory memory. So it's also good to maybe recognize how it is you think. And remember to breathe. And occasionally I will remind you to bring the mind back to the breath. So we'll start now. Just watch your thoughts, categorize them. You can release them. Bring the mind back to the breath. Okay, everyone, just relax. Or stay in meditation. Does anyone have anything they'd like to share about that particular meditation? Was it helpful? Shayla, you're muted.
That was the first time that's worked for me. So,
Oh, wow. What worked for
and
you? What was it that worked for you?
the labeling
Mm-hmm.
and then remembering to go back to the breath.
Okay.
So that was really cool because it didn't allow me to continue with the story or to feed energy into it. So yeah, that worked really good. Thank you.
Well done, Shayla. Anybody else have anything they want to share? Hi, Jay. Yeah. Oh, she's just clapping. Okay. Lou?
I found out that I spend a lot of time, I forget things. And the only time I seem to remember them is when I'm meditating.
Oh.
And then I know that when the meditation ends, I'm going to forget them again.
Okay.
So I realized that I came up with all these things I need to do. And instead of just dwelling on them and ruining the meditation, I just said, okay, I'm going to forget them anyway. So just let them go.
And then maybe you'll remember it instead.
Maybe.
Well done, Lou. That's fantastic. Anyone else? Susan? Nothing to share, Mary?
I kind of started future tripping and instead of being, but then I kept getting pulled back here to be here right now. I was just kept being pulled back to the present because I started going to the future.
So maybe that's your default. You know, like, you know, some of us, when things get too intense, we become unpresent, or we'll go to TikTok or go shopping. Maybe you just go into the future. It could be it's almost like a habit energy. So for Lou, he remembers all the things he needs to do, so he gets into planning mode. So it sounds like Lou does planning. Mary goes into the future. I think I do a bit of everything. Kimberly, did you have anything you wanted to share? Don't even know if she's okay. And Phyllis, how was that for you? Because I know this is a struggle for you, this kind of stuff. Okay, no, Kimberly's good. Are you muted again?
And there. So I started out in what my version of emptiness for a while. And I started to wander and have, like Sheila said, like catch myself wandering, one thing, another. So that felt good to catch it because I just didn't realize I did that. And I was going to say that too about some of the thought processes. Like you said, we're being negative towards ourselves. I have just recently realized there are things that I never heard before. I never realized I was doing against myself. But didn't do that tonight, but just, tonight it was just catching them and then another one came up and then another one came up, but still catching them. So that felt good to be able to do that and to notice it.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
That's amazing awareness, because when you can see what's there, clearly you can do something about it. But when you've got this undercurrent of negative self-talk, you're going to just end up depressed and you don't know why. But you're constantly talking to yourself, not how you would talk to a child. Like sometimes I think I read somewhere, some of the things that we say to ourselves, would you speak to a 3-year-old that way? You wouldn't, because you'd devastate them. So, I think we have to sort of become like little Phyllis or little Katy and treat ourselves a little bit more gently. But it's absolutely amazing that you're seeing it, you know, because now you can see it, you can do something about it. That's very cool. Okay. Linda, I'm not sure if you're there. Did you have anything you wanted to share or with the group? She's not there. Kimberly. What? Hi. You're muted. You're muted.
I'm new to the group, so
Welcome.
thank you. I'm just enjoying your voice and
Thank you.
just settling in. I mean,
Okay.
and yeah, I've got more categories than there are names for snow in Alaska, but I'm just kind of taking it all in tonight. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thanks for
Is it
sharing
okay
that.
if I keep off?
Yeah,
Just-
no, keep off. It's fine.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So now, I mean, to move into a little bit more functional thinking, we're going to think about that, and we'll finish up with a meditation on loving kindness for ourselves. So this is more of like an analytical meditation. So just settle back into your meditation position, like a nice seated, comfortable seated position. And remember to align your spine. You may have slumped a little bit. And just take a nice deep breath. So when we pay attention mindfully to an object of interest, we can then examine it, evaluate it, either in general or in great detail. So in this kind of evaluation, examination, it can involve thinking, like applying concepts and reasoning to get a better understanding of something. So this is called analytical meditation. So let's just look at this practice of loving kindness and bring to mind a loved one. And some of us have many loved ones, so just one person, otherwise you'll get confused. And just allow an image of that person to appear before you. So notice their skin, notice what they're wearing. You may remember how they smell. You might remember their voice. You may feel the energetic connection you have with each other. You can go deeper about and reflect and examine what you know about this person, especially in terms of their good qualities, their many loving and kind actions towards us. And then we may respond with our heart, feelings of loving kindness. Sort of opens our heart to think of this person, brings a smile to your face. So we meditate in this way, mindfulness, reflection, discernment have contributed to enhance the wonderful quality of loving kindness. And we can also apply the same process towards ourselves, making ourselves the focal object of our own reflection and practice of loving kindness. So this particular practice of mindfulness and discerning wisdom, it allows us to inquire and get a better understanding of the object or the topic we're thinking about. And we can nurture positive qualities that have arisen as a result of this kind of reflection and mindfully attend to those positive qualities rather than the negative ones. We have a choice in everything we think. We do have that kind of power. We're not being controlled by some outside force. Everything we put into our mind, everything we watch, everything we listen to, everything we choose to listen to, everything we think, it's all our choice. We have habits, however. So that makes sometimes our choices a little sticky, a little hard to get on top of. But with effort, with support from friends, with a belief in ourselves, we can do a lot to kind of shift our habits. Okay, before we move on to loving kindness for self, does anyone have anything they'd like to share about that? No? Okay. All right, let's just move on then. I'm just going to take some water, if you'll excuse me for a minute. So again, just adjust your sitting position if you need to. Relax your shoulders, lengthen the spine. You know, you want to be nicely aligned, but you also want to be relaxed at the same time. And you can have your hands just resting wherever. There is a traditional way to sit, but just sit where you are comfortable. So as we did this morning, we're going to extend this kind of idea of loving kindness towards ourselves with the support of a few very simple phrases. And you can, in your own meditation, maybe later on, after you've experienced this one, you can maybe change those phrases. And by repeating slowly and mindfully these phrases, we start channeling our attention in the direction of genuine care and concern towards ourselves. And we allow time for our heart to respond with the appropriate feelings when it's ready. So our mindful awareness encompasses both ourselves as the object of kindness and the inner quality of loving kindness itself, as it kind of just like suffuses our mind and our heart. So in between our repetition of the phrases of loving kindness, I'll pause to reflect on the basis of having ourselves as the recipient of our own kindness and loving concern. And we need to be able to be aware that just like everyone else, in that all of us want to be happy and do not suffer and not to suffer. Reflect on its validity in relation to our own experiences. Is it true? Deep down, is this true? Do I really want to be happy and not suffer? We can also remember other reasons to strengthen this quality of loving kindness towards ourselves. Some of us, we might need to see the goodness within us. We might be able to try and find this phenomenal talent that we have within us. It could be sensing our yearning for love or remembering past experiences of happiness and wishing that for ourselves today. And for some of us, no reason is needed for extending love and kindness towards ourselves. But just for a moment, be in touch with the simple sensations of the body. Notice areas of softness or ease and relaxation and comfort. And can we welcome these feelings and notice ourselves, allow ourselves to enjoy them while they're here? Perhaps we have areas of tension or tightness, discomfort. Can we simply acknowledge these feelings for the time being? Do we have to change them immediately for the better? Can we just let them be? So check in with your face. Are you tensing any of the muscles in your face? Check your forehead, just release it. Your eyes, back of the eye, the nose, the cheeks, the mouth. Relax your jaw, your cheeks, your ears, your temples. Can you gently relax these muscles and then let in a different feeling, one of softness and ease and comfort? Allow this softening and relaxing to spread on its own to the rest of your body. It just helps your body to relax into meditation in its own time. As your body is relaxing, you may notice sensations, tingling. And don't forget to breathe. So we'll use a few simple phrases that best express our understanding of what it means to love, to care, to show concern. May I live in safety. Wishing oneself to feel safe and to have security in life. May I live in safety. May I be happy. Wishing oneself to feel joy, cheerfulness, and happiness in the mind and heart. May I be happy. May I be healthy. Wishing oneself to enjoy physical health and well-being. May I be healthy. May I live with ease. Wishing one's daily life and work flows smoothly and easily. May I live with ease. May I live in safety. May I be happy. May I be healthy. May I live with ease. I would invite you to repeat the phrases slowly and mindfully at your own pace, and stay connected to the intention behind these words and extend loving kindness towards ourselves. So notice at what point you get distracted and the mind wants to escape. And don't worry if you're not at this moment feeling particularly loving. You can allow your heart plenty of time to respond in its own way. And just rely on the words to very gently guide your heart towards loving kindness towards yourself. But when you have warm feelings of love and kindness arise, we can entwine them among the phrases and then offer them to ourselves. May I live in safety. May I be happy. May I be healthy. May I live with ease. In between repetitions, we can reflect on the basis that support or promote loving kindness towards ourselves. Deep down, all of us want to be happy and not to suffer. Can we just stop for a moment and think about this statement? Is it true for you? How does this wish to be happy manifest in our lives? What do we do to try and get happiness? And when you feel ready, come back to the phrases and continue to offer loving kindness to yourself. May I live in safety. May I be happy. May I be healthy. May I live with ease. Breathe. I'll invite you to reflect on other reasons that activate loving kindness for ourselves. So some of us may see the goodness within ourselves. So just reflect on that for a moment. Ignore anything else. Just the goodness. And watch the mind wriggle. Reflect on your talents. Everybody in this room is expert at something. Reflect on your capacity. Rejoice in your brilliance. Remember past experiences of happiness and make a wish for them to continue, an aspiration for them to continue. Maybe you sense a yearning for love within. May I live in safety. May I be happy. May I be healthy. May I live with ease. So just relax for a moment. We have 9 minutes before the end of class. So I'm wondering if anyone has anything they'd like to share.
I'll just be real quick.
Hi, Jay.
Yeah. I know I talk too much.
You do not. It's lovely to have your input. Keep going.
I have a certain level, and there are many reasons for this, but I have a certain level of detachment from my body and mind. So when I think of treating myself well, it's almost like I'm a third. Treating Jay well is like treating a third person well. Is that clear? It's like, okay, all right. If I was taking care of somebody in this age group with this profile, how would I advise them? What would I want them to do? And I have that conversation with myself. So, this person needs to eat healthy, needs to make good choices about exercise and that sort of thing. So this is one of the things that comes up for me when we do the kind of the self-care meditation, is that kind of interesting separating out in a certain way. Yeah. And is that clear?
I think so. I think what you're saying is you are actually taking care of yourself in many different ways in your life. Is that what you're saying?
That's what I'm saying. And I'm doing that because I don't feel that who I really am is my body or my mind.
Yeah. Okay.
That it's like I get that there's something else going on here. I'm not clear what it is, but I do get that. And I've done a lot of work with something called enlightenment intensives, where you contemplate, who am I? And I think it's influencing me. So yeah. Anyway, so I found that interesting, and yeah, that's what I found myself automatically doing, was taking that third person perspective.
And at the same time, were you able to experience a sense of loving kindness towards yourself?
Embarrassingly, yes. I say
So
embarrassing.
so why is that embarrassing?
Because I'm very fond of myself. I got to tell you guys.
That's really
I,
good to hear.
I have a good friend who just really dislikes herself enormously, and I love her so much. And I do try to support her. But I just realize it's kind of it's like I can't specifically identify when it happened. But, I've worked on it a lot. As I mentioned to Phyllis, I've worked as a social worker for 45 years. You have a continuous cycle of burnout dealing with the horrendous issues we dealt with. And it's like I would step back and nurture myself. And so I think I grew more and more to like myself that way.
So out of necessity, you took care of yourself.
Yeah.
It sounds like self-preservation to me.
Yeah. Well, and also I strongly took the position, because I had seen people burn out, and they kept the jobs, and then they dealt with people in a way that was not compassionate, really. Yeah. And I swore I would never go down that path. I would, prevent myself from doing that, or I would get into another career. So yeah, that was one of the things that highly motivated me to deal with my, quote, burnout, unquote.
Sounds really smart. Thank you for sharing that, Jay. Does anyone else have anything else they would like to share in the last 5 minutes?
Mine's kind of heavy duty.
Sorry.
I spent
Then Lou after Phyllis. Okay, Phyllis, go.
All right. So, well, actually, yesterday or the day before, I read, can't remember the author's name, but talking about suffering. And the title of the book is Old Age, and then it's about suffering. And it's a very Jungian position, and I've been immersed in that world here for 36 years. That part, when you say, I'm healthy, I'm happy, It's like, what about the suffering? I mean, what she really beautifully points out in this book, and it helped me so much the other day, was how important it is to stay with it, the suffering, until you go through the transformation. And so that's my question and my challenge, and how do we do that and do mindfulness and love ourselves when we're deep in the suffering? And yeah.
So the purpose of that particular meditation was mindfulness on loving kindness towards ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
So the statements were, may I be happy, may I live in safety, may I be free from suffering. And it's not, it's an aspiration. And if you hear a story of someone suffering, like Jay was saying, some of her clients, you have a strong wish for them to be free from that suffering. So you can have that same wish for yourself, to be, if you are experiencing suffering, to be free from suffering. So you're offering yourself comfort and love and kindness. It doesn't mean to say you avoid going through that suffering, but it's almost by being loving and kind towards yourself, you can support yourself through, like you would support a friend who is going through a really hard time. You wouldn't just say to them, oh, you've got to go through that, would you? You just wouldn't. So why would you say that to yourself? And you muted again, Phyllis.
I would give them compassion.
Exactly. So you could give that to you as well.
Okay.
I can see where you're not the only one that struggles with that, believe me.
Okay.
But you're expressing it very clearly. That's
Mhm.
right. Lou, I wanted to get to you before we finish. We've got 2 minutes.
Whenever I try to do something like that, I get bogged down in guilt. I don't deserve to be happy. I don't deserve to be safe. I don't deserve this. I don't deserve that. So it just makes it also very difficult. Every time I get a warm feeling, it's like, you don't deserve to feel like that.
Yeah. And you're not the only one that experiences that either. I mean, Phyllis has just been expressing it. So I think the fact is that we're aware of that's where our mind goes. And that's why I said, notice where the mind is trying to escape. Because that's exactly what your mind did. Oh, I don't deserve that. But the thing is, actually, you do. And that's why it's almost like a mindfulness of loving kindness. And so you just have to give yourself time to allow those thoughts to settle in to your mind and your body, because you have another script going on that might not necessarily be serving you. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. Good, everyone.
So there's quite a bit of snow here already. I can look out my window right now and see it.
I'm glad I'm living in California.
That's beautiful.
Oh, good.
I'm glad I'm
you
in
enjoy.
here
See,
more.
I'm glad you enjoy. And you're safe inside there. We have about a minute. Anything else, anyone? No. Linda, hi.
I think the biggest understanding for me this evening is just the amount of courage it really takes to love oneself, and how bizarre that is actually the case. Like, who came up with that? Why? So it's a beautiful practice. It's a courageous practice. So thanks, Katy.
Well, thank you. I mean, I think I would never have thought of it as being a courageous practice. So thanks for bringing that in, because it really actually does take quite a bit of courage. And I think, as Phyllis and Lou were pointing out, it's difficult practice for them. Yeah. And everybody, Linda's quite a well-known yoga teacher in this area, therapeutic yoga teacher. So she's doing a lot of this kind of work all the time with her own clients and students in class and privately. So I really appreciate your coming along tonight and your input. So helpful.
Thank you.
Thank you. Shayla, did you have something you wanted to say? Looked like you're about to say something.
Along with Phyllis and Lou, there are things that just stick with me that just, but yeah, having to say it over and over and over again, you know, I deserve to be safe. That's, you know, I had to add, I deserve to be protected.
That's fantastic. I mean, it says,
So,
you know, you can add whatever serves you.
but saying it over and over again, it really just kind of pushed, even though my mind kept going back to,
Mm-hmm.
you know, throwing in those negatives, being reminded to say it again and again helped tremendously. So thank you.
It's fantastic that you did that. It also feels to me like it's almost like reminding ourselves to get back to the breath, you know, when we lose concentration. So you come back to that phrase when the when you actually sometimes we even notice, oh gosh, for the last 2 minutes I've been on this other track. So you just very gently bring yourself back to this idea of loving kindness. Like Linda was saying, it takes quite a bit of courage to then bring it back to your heart and just allow it to settle into yourself. And you can see that this is going to take practice. We're going to be unraveling quite a bit of habit thinking, you know, for some of us, for me, it's 65 years of this kind of other thinking. So, yeah, interesting. Yeah, it takes time. Susan.
Yes, one thing when I'm thinking I deserve to be safe, then I start thinking, but everybody does, and look how many people are not safe at this very moment. They're going through the most incredible horrors. And then I start thinking, but why is my mind drawn to that? And yet again, it should be. I have a background as a Catholic, by the way, which motivates some of that kind of thinking. And yet I think that
Mary does too.
I respect that thinking at the same time, you know, but anyway, so it's a challenge. Yeah.
It's for all of us. And I think though, but remind yourself this meditation is for you. You have plenty of time to worry about Gaza and Israel and Ukraine and whatever's going on in somebody's backyard in Appalachian Mountains. But you cannot take care of anybody until you've taken care of yourself. You know, that whole thing in the airplane, we're going to crash. The oxygen masks have dropped down. Put the mask on yourself before you put it on your child. Why? Because you'll faint and the kids won't get anything. It just makes sense. If you're not in a fit state to help anybody or do anything unless you're taking care of yourself as well. But this particular meditation is for you to nurture yourself. And there's plenty of time outside of that to worry about Gaza and whatever. And I agree, it's painful to hear what's going on. It's painful to see all those children being blown up and people being separated. It's difficult. It's very, very difficult. Yeah, I agree. It's almost like too much for the mind. We don't know what to do with it. And our own lives could change any moment. So what to do? But the purpose of this particular meditation is to nurture yourself and notice where all of our minds go. Oh, I'm not good enough for this, or I don't deserve it. But anyway, the mind wants to wriggle away. So I find that really curious. And like Linda, as I said, poor Linda said, it takes a lot of courage. We just have to pull ourselves back and remind ourselves, yeah, I do deserve to be protected. I do deserve to be safe. I do deserve to be happy.
Thank you, Venerable Katie. That helps a lot. All that you just said. Thank you.
Okay. Think about yourself, Susan. You know, I have 20 minutes to eat dinner now, and then I have another meditation at 8 o'clock. So what I would like to just thank everybody for coming. For some of you, it's the second time you've come to this course. It's fantastic that you come, particularly this particular week. So I want to thank you very much for that. And then just to let you know, if it wasn't for you coming, I'd be pretty silly sitting here talking to myself. So thank you for that. And I've got enormous benefit from doing this course. So thank you very much. Thank you to our visitor, Linda, and lots of love, everybody. And I will see some of you in about 20 minutes. Okay. Thank you. Bye, everyone. Thank you.